You're there, good to go, Steph? Let me know whenever. Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Library Advisory Commission meeting for Monday, July 1st. May I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Boyle. Here. Commissioner Rogers. Here. Commissioner, Green. Here. Commissioner. Here. Commissioner Constable. Here. Here.
Here, thank you.
Oh, and Commissioner, Dugan is.
That's correct. She had a family issue with tonight's meeting. May I have a motion to adopt the agenda, please?
I move that we adopt the agenda.
Any additions or deletions? Is there a second? Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. We'll go on to oral communications by the public. If there's anyone in the public who would like to address the commission on any matters that are not on tonight's agenda, please come on up. If it's more comfortable for you to speak from there, that's fine. If you'd like to come up here, that's fine as well.
My name is Betty Brandon, the first time I've ever been to any of these meetings, whatever. I'm from my background, public service, city, that's how first I have some criticism. Take it, cost, election, and there is an enormous need to make some difference. I'm not like a public meeting. The front door is locked. Somebody doesn't know where they're going, there's no notice, there's no board outside. We have handicap access. I'm frankly shocked. Recovering from a broken leg, you're directing the public and blocking an exit, which should be everyone's. And so, and that's not even what you're talking. On your website, you have old letters that refer to this director who is no longer here that are outdated. 2021, I believe. Public, especially when they come to talk to you, they want to use their time resourcefully, be respectful to what other people need to say. And I'm spending time on an issue I don't talk about. So I would encourage you to update the website. There are no clear, definitive ways to communicate to the board here. And public information to use Robert's rules of order. It's the reason why I'm here is an avid library user. 210 I was using the Belt Library, a group that meets there weekly. And we were told to vacate the building immediately by the branch manager. That was the day that they were doing a control room at Henry County. And we were inside. We all were perplexed by we were being asked to leave. People take public transportation there. Minors there. There were the library and they had to the library. I was yes. The current quality outside is severely high in the red zone. It was 148 per player. And it was referring to having leaky weathers, the air is raining down, the wind is not predictable, and it all came into that. That is a brand new library. You have air conditioning system. In the room that I was in, there were over 5 people that they were sent out. They take public transportation and buses to get there. Minors were told to go outside and be in the horrible smoke, and we're not expected to be picked up until later. I was called down to the main library. Apparently, your policy will allow one person to make the decision to close the building. It is uncalled for. You are a public agency. You have responsibility. This was not an emergency. The fire department notified the sheriff's office. In the event of emergency, it was not out of in that building. Apparently, some of the employees after they came back, right? Possibly outside, we're not getting enough. But the issue is that you said a closed facility for no reason. You have the responsibility to have policies in place. You have a responsibility to train employees, not just one person making that decision, but all employees. And you have a responsibility to act as an agency. If this was truly an event that closed your library down, you should have been responsible in a hazard situation to providing transportation. You should contact the Office of Emergency Services. You should have provided some kind of bus to bus people over to your next facility that was open where people can seek shelter. You have a community that is on your library, and a library is many things to many people. And we have evolved over time. And we have a responsibility, if in fact you're not a place to seek shelter, or people who are elderly, heat issues, smoke issues, power issues, water issues, then you have the responsibility to convey that to the community, but they have on since that you should provide. You have electricity, you have water, you have telephones, you have working air conditioning. It should have never happened. You are fortunate that someone did not have a medical emergency or a minor child. I'm just poor. I wrote a letter to the board. They told that I thought I was writing the letter to this board because I really quite frankly don't understand how your agencies work. I've never got a call back, and I just express, make a call and speak with your interim director. And they were very receptive. But I am not willing to let this go because you were right to have this happen. And if you have rules and regulations, donations that can't take time to train your employees and have some common sense safety regulations of how to use public this right now, a violation of
Thank you very much for your comments. I think that, first of all, Helga, if you could get the letter that went to the governing board distributed to this commission. I know, I'd like to have that copy of that letter so we all have it. And then perhaps at the next meeting, we can agendize the development of a procedure, because this was a unique and one-off situation. We've never had this happen before, but it's front and center right now. And we'll have to address it at the next meeting. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you coming in.
If I'm not, my feet, how can I get out?
Yeah. Can we get up there? Mike, can we go up that door?
Is this building not ADA accessible? It is, okay.
Yeah, I think this is the best. This is the way we came in. Did you had trouble coming in through here?
No, I keep it standing there and the library, lock the door and look at the main library, which is.
Okay, yeah, you can come out.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. Yeah. I probably would have said it.
Are there any other public comments? Anything online?
Yes, everyone. Lane Anderson, you have been allowed to speak.
Welcome, Elaine.
Thank you. I'm just wanting to say thank you for continuing to have Zoom available for those of us that can't make the meeting and have something to say. Usually I watch on YouTube, but today I thought I'd say thank you.
Thank you. So yeah,
That's all I have. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank
thank you
you.
very much, Elaine. Appreciate that. Report by our library director.
Yes, so I submitted that.
Okay. Everyone has read the interim
Yep.
director's report. Any questions, comments?
Well, I just was very pleased to see the hiring. I mean,
Yeah.
you're doing a great job kind of filling spots that, you know, are essential. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Report by the friends.
I'm Cindy Jackson, I'm a friend, and I'm so happy to be here. It's nice to see some people I haven't seen in a while. Happy to answer the questions you might have about the friend. My big announcement is to introduce you to Sarah. Previously, most recent. And you'll be seeing her through the door going forward. Questions, I'm going to thank both Eric and Jennifer for in receiving many comments from the friend about the naming gift laws. I appreciate both of your interest in hearing what we have to say. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any member reports? Commissioners?
No.
What's happening? Wonderful. We'll go on to the consent calendar, which is usually taken in a single vote. Unless someone would like to pull an item for discussion. If not, I'll entertain a motion. Yes.
Mind just having a very brief discussion on the gift policy. I don't have big amendments that I'm asking for. I just wanted to make a couple of comments.
Okay, carry on.
Oh, right now,
We have a general business too. Education.
No,
Okay.
meeting.
That's right. Good one. All right, carry on.
oh, well, thank you. So I talked with Eric before this meeting and I'm looking at this policy through, I'm sitting on the downtown capital campaign. So we're gonna have money coming in. It's coming to the library, but the Friends are doing the fundraising. There was a line in here about, the library director would have to approve gifts received, and I don't. It's just kind of a little nebulous, like we don't want the library director to have to make a decision on every gift that comes in, and it's not really clear, but when I talked with Eric, he suggested that we could do an MOU to make sure that if a book collection comes in, that's one thing, or if a gift that comes in for programs and comes to the library, that's a different thing, but just like capital campaigns, the library director wouldn't have to be quite so insinuated into the process.
Perhaps it's just the library director needs to have input because there have been instances where we have not accepted a donation.
A cash donation on the capital campaign?
Well, not cash, but a substantial donation. I know we rejected one 12 years ago from a dubious organization.
Okay,
But I think that, certainly not going over line by line.
yeah, that's, again, I read this through the lens of, we're doing a lot of fundraising right now, and I would hate the library director to have to sift through it. But I think that could be clarified through an MOU. Maybe it's significant donations, or, I'm sure Eric can spend time thinking about this.
Yeah, I totally understand where you're coming. I'm thinking maybe if we change the language, something to the effect that it preserves the right to deny any gift or something to that effect. And we could reword it so that that's what's communicated, because you're right. They're not gonna, be in the driver's seat every time that you're meeting with donors. But just so that they have that ability to, in case it comes from a dubious organization or a dubious individual or has a certain expectation for the library that we can't fulfill.
Thank you. Yeah.
I had a question, on the gifts of books and materials. So sometimes when people donate their collection and they think it's really worth a lot, and the library will want to put it on the shelves. I always explain when we get donations, it's like, we're gonna sell these books, in the lobby. That's what we do with them. But I feel like the way this reads, it looks like like if I had this collection that I just thought was the best thing in the world. It looks like the library will actually, they will be given directly to the Friends. The library will apply the same standards for selection and acceptance of gifts as it does with selecting books. Well, I don't think that's true, is it? I mean, you're not gonna want, even if it's a bestseller, I don't think it's ever gonna come in front of a selector that the library is gonna take that book. You know what I mean? It just seems a little misleading.
I think it gives us the ability to do what you described, which is sell it. Because
Yeah,
I agree with you, most of our book donations. we
they
can't
do,
measure.
right.
We rarely accept books.
Yeah, no, I know that. I totally accept that. I understand that. It's just that if I were someone who wanted to donate my collection, and I looked at this, and I'd almost think that the library was actually gonna look at it and see if they wanted, but they're not. They're not gonna do that.
Chances are,
What's that?
chances are they wouldn't. unless
No, they
it's
won't, no, they won't.
significant Importance.
I don't know, maybe it's just a small, I just know there are people who are super attached to their books and they probably, some of them probably are worth a lot. But they're not ever gonna get to the actual library collection, so it's just a little small point.
Well, I hadn't thought of it when I read it, but Nancy, I agree with you. Someone will donate a whole collection of, say, John Grisham. And say, this is such a great collection. It's every single book. I've been collecting it since, it started, and I want the library to have it. And we say, well, we're gonna sell it. And, then they almost want to take it back. Because
Yeah,
it's more
because they
valuable.
think it's worth more than that.
Yeah.
Anyway, like I said, it's just,
Perhaps we should clarify the fact that, in most instances, it will go directly to sale.
yes,
People could know that in the gift policy.
I think something like that, yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think that second sentence, you're right, is the confusing thing, because it looks like the library is gonna step in and do the review.
Yeah,
And
and
they're just,
they're not, no, we don't expect that.
We didn't even have the
They
resource
can't.
to catalog donated gifts. That's a whole nother level of concern.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Okay, then I'll entertain a motion for the consent agenda. So moved. Second? Second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. We'll move on to general business. And a presentation by Anna Maria on community relations. And what we're doing.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
As you can see in your agendas, there is a media document. But today, I'm here to share with you, my. So, my name is Anna Maria Frankel. I'm the community relations specialist. I joined India in October of 2023. It's only been 8 months, but it's been a very exciting 8 months. I'm really honored to be here before you and share more about what my department and my role is about. So folks may wonder, what is a marketing department for libraries? What does a marketing department for the libraries? So mainly what we focus on is connecting our users with our libraries, our staff, and our resources. That's our mission and vision. But also our purpose is to align with the strategic goals and strategic plan for the libraries and promote services to the public and our users. We also want to position the libraries within the organization, but also to the public in a strategic way. So then there's clear communication. We want to do effective promotion of our programs and services to the public and to our users, and provide market research. Now, we don't do market research the way corporations do. What we want to know is who our users are, how they use our libraries, what they use them for, who is not using our libraries, and why. So we're working on that. It's part of what I'm working on. Sorry. So, as I said, what does marketing do? We develop marketing and communication programs for our, communication plans for our programming events. We also do, meaning my team of two,
small but mighty team. We do communication plans for our programs. Also, we have an internal system, it's called the marketing request. And I'll just give you a brief explanation of when our librarians have a program and they submit it to their managers, then they send us this ticket that we have called the marketing request. Then from there, we create all the promotional packages for it, depending on what the program is or what the event is. And so from there, trying to get to the notes. From there, we develop all the contents for it, whether it's social media posts or depending on the event, if it's a public press release or all that stuff. But mainly what we aim to do is to amplify the CPL's mission and vision, the strategic plan. As I mentioned at the beginning of my presentation, media relations is part of what we do. And so that means maintaining relationships with our local media outlets for our events and programs. That's done through press releases, media advisories, or PSAs in our local radio station. And as I mentioned earlier, market segmentation research. That's something that I'm currently working on. And what we're hoping to do is to figure out who our users are in a way, of course, keeping in mind their privacy. And that's at the forefront of all of this market research that I mentioned. We definitely want to keep in mind privacy. But we do want to identify who our users so that we know how they best services in our programs, but also how we can better target them so then they attend to our programs and they make use of our services. So we're working. As I also mentioned, and I shared with you some of our collateral for the summer reading program. That's for this what I do is creating flyers for our programs, social media posts for our programs, events, all that goes. We also use other marketing channels. These are our internal channels for library, for our LibCal, which is found on our website, one of our greatest marketing tools. We also use local online publication community calendars as part of our quest. When we have a program, we post those to our local community calendars and hopes to get more folks to speak in the program about. We also use our websites or the news or the carousel that you see on our website. We've strategically decided to use those for specific events or event months, programs. So it's very pointed. It's not just every single event. It's just very important whether it's a special month. Or right now we have the summer reading program in it and Heritage Month and things of the sort. We also have our library newsletter, which you may have received today. That's a bi-monthly newsletter. We take care of marketing department. Each branch digital signs, and so we post our programs in there. We of course produce flyers, as I mentioned, we do media relations, which is part of print news, media outlets, and also digital advertising. We also use social media platforms. We've downsized to 3, which are the main ones are Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. If you go to our YouTube channel, you'll find the newest video that we created in collaboration with Digital Nest. This was meant to be our grand opening for us, but because the event got postponed, then we repackaged it to do our spring reading program kickoff event, and it's a beautiful video of our celebration. So I'll share about some of the marketing campaigns that I've been working on in my 8 months. The first one, the big one, is our Baptist French grand opening. This campaign included the version you see a sample there. It was a beautiful brochure that we did a collaboration with friends. And then also a media tour, which was very successful. As you know, the event had to be postponed due to a weather event, but we managed to have the media tour, which invited at least 8 or 10 local media, television and Spanish television, which happened to feature me, which was a little embarrassing, but it was fun. The media tour was a great success. We managed to have that, and so that gave us great coverage for the grand opening and gave media first glimpse of the bridge, which no one had seen before. And we also promoted the event on social media. And as I mentioned, we did video content in association with Digital Nest. This is a big partnership. They created the initial video that we highlighted as first take of the Aptos Library, and now the one that kind of ties in with the summer reading program. I also want to share with you this campaign. This was done in partnership with the City of Santa Cruz Climate Action Program. The city, Sorry about that. The city, libraries partnered up to loan out these induction cooktops, so folks could use them before buying one for their home. And so I don't want to play the whole video, but I do want to give you the first couple of minutes just so you see this was produced by my mighty king. Should I just go to YouTube? I'll just skip it, but this is also part of our YouTube channel. Basically, this 5-minute video shows what the kits contain. And then the folks at Top Lunch let us go into their store and do a demonstration for us. And so that was pretty neat. They showed us the store and they showed us how to use the induction cooktops. And then my next slide is the collateral created for the summer reading program. I provided some of the brochures, but the logo design, printed online ads, and all of the print collateral, the books, marks, and the brochures were designed and developed by the marketing team. I want to add that we advertise as well. The Metro did one of these ads again this year for the summer reading program. And as you can see, all the advertising for the summer reading program is both in English and in Spanish. We did ads for TV, radio, printed online, and we did also 2 ads with radio in Spanish, as well as Telemundo, which is one of the most viewed TV stations in the area. So as part of that advertising that we did for the summer reading program, which learning is one of the largest campaigns that we do each year as libraries, I partnered up with media in hopes to get the word out, both in English and in Spanish. We estimated, and there was a spreadsheet, that we reach about 400,000 people in both languages for this. And I don't want to jump the gun, but I know that the participation has increased for this year's campaign, so that's really exciting to learn. I'm going to go next to the next slide and share with you very special video. This was done in paid partnership with Lucas Santa Cruz, who is our local Pulitzer Prize winner. Leveraged that award to give our summer reading program some visibility. The child that you see in the video is my daughter. She was a willing participant, so I didn't pass the library or anything. She's an avid reader. This is her favorite library. Garfield Park is our local library, and that's where she loves to go. And so we figured, why not highlight our library? And last but not least, I do want to share the paid ad that we did with Telemundo for our Spanish speakers, which we were hoping to.
I will be on watching YouTube. See here about it.
If you want to,
Salad.
let me see if I can follow them. I really want to show this.
It's not react.
See, that's it.
Oh,
Maybe it's all the shades and this. Yeah.
Yeah. She's yeah, that's great. I mean, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Is this one?
We'll just, how about you just do.
It's just fantastic.
I'm gonna say, well, this sucks. I'm really, only been with.
8 months.
8 months, and she really hit the ground.
Oh, yeah, it's so impressive, yeah.
I'm really sorry to not be able to show you the second
Oh.
video that also features my daughter, but.
Wait, there. Nice job. Yeah.
Either way, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me here today. This past 8 months has been a wonderful learning opportunity, and I hope to continue growing this.
So how you're putting this water for us?
Yeah, of course I will.
That's right.
Couple of questions. First of all, fantastic job. I mean, it's really great how much you've accomplished. I'm super impressed. So I'm one of the people that gets the email every other week, and it's so jam-packed with programs. You know, sometimes my eyes just like, but if I follow down and then you have each program kind of highlighted, that's really awesome, because then, I don't know if you saw, but Aptos is going to do an author talk with the Sugar King of California, which is Freckles. There's a new book written about him. So anyway, congratulations for that. I just had a question about, what have you learned about our library users that has surprised you?
There is and I guess it's surprising, but it isn't. There is a deep-seated love for our libraries. And I learned that while doing the Aptos branch opening, because as part of the package that I put together for it, and if you look at our website, there's a press kit at the very bottom. That's something that I started too, just so that when we have these media inquiries, everything that they need to find is there. And the intention was to have it particularly for the Aptos opening. And so as part of the Aptos opening, I put together a time of the history of the library, so as much as my own understanding, but also as we were putting it there. And it really struck me how deep-seated the love for the library is. And so I think that's not just for Aptos, that's for every single branch. You can also tell that by their Fritz chapters and the passion that they have for their libraries. And so I think it's a beautiful relationship that we have with our users. I would like to get into more depth as to who really our users are, so then we can serve them and provide them that they need. Not so much just the same, it's not a package deal. It has to be targeted and it has to be strategic, so that's what I'm working with.
So my follow-up question is, who's not using our libraries? And do you have a sense of that yet? I know you have.
Not quite yet. I found a really interesting paper on Gen Z, who are my daughter's generation. And one of the interesting facts about Gen Z is that they're finding going to the library to be cool. Yeah. But as you know, we can't reach Gen Z with a flyer. They have to be on their digital devices. And so that's part of what we need to figure out. We're like, okay, Gen Z thinks that libraries are, we need to develop programs that fits their needs, right? But then also we need to reach them to go to those programs the way that they get. And so that's what we're trying to figure out. There's also a component there that, I mean, in my 8 months, I've been operating under what was already there. Not wanting to make too many changes, but since you brought up the newsletter, that's one of the things that I have in the back of my mind. I want to reconfigure the newsletter. It needs to be different. And so thank you for bringing that up, because that's something that me and my team have discussed. This needs to change. It needs to be different. But we need to figure out how to get to each specific user group so that we give them what they need. And so that's what I have to work on.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Other questions by members? Is there anyone?
Thank you.
Any others in the public? Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. My pleasure. Thank you.
We'll move on to a meeting room policy. Recommended action is to endorse the updated meeting room policy.
Yes, but before I do, I think to go back on that last point, if I could, and to answer your question around who's not using it. That's something that, of course, that interests us enormously.
Yeah.
And so we're really excited to see this work. And I would suggest that in a year from now, we come back and we present to you some of the information that we got. We're very eager to get to that and then to develop a plan on how to do the outreach that we need to do in order to get capture those individuals. Just wanted to mention that. So we'll be back.
Great, thank you.
So I asked that we put this item into the general business. We did I think a nice job, and I want to thank Jennifer, who's out in the audience. She's now working on all of our policies for us, making sure that we stay on track. And she did a nice job of outlining the changes that we've made. But I remember going back to when Susan Nemitz was director, and we were kind of wrestling with this idea as we were developing the new buildings, that how do we properly lend out these spaces that are, potentially some of them that are independent of the library? And in a recent meeting, not too long ago, I kind of called out the elephant in the room, and, we have all of these. And originally, we had certain limitations on what we called partners in the library. And it was Susan's idea, I believe, to, that's who we would lend out the spaces to the partners. There's some challenges with that, both legally, but also like, how do you define a partner, et cetera. And so I did call out the elephant in the room, which is, we've spent, as Anna Maria is saying, we have this enormous passion in the community that has brought us to new buildings and renovations. And we also know how much time and effort and work goes into raising the money, and then the time that we have to take to close the buildings or to renovate the buildings, et cetera. So even if we had simply insurance in hand from somebody, if we're really going to be responsible stewards of the space, we have to think about the other potential liabilities that come with it. Even if they give us an insurance card and say, well, we'll burn the place down, we'll be able to pay you back. In 10 years, we'll be able to build that building back again. If inflation doesn't hit us too badly. So we're trying to balance equity with ensuring as best as we can the proper stewardship of these spaces. And so we can't really afford at this time to place staff in the positions whenever somebody wants to use these spaces. And so we're not trying to make a profit off of it, but we do feel strongly that we need to have somebody here. And so the easiest way for us to do that is to expand our contract with our security company. And so if the space is to be used after hours, they would cover the costs for the security guard. And you can't have a security guard here, it's less than 4 hours. So that's why you'd actually have to pay 4 hours of their time. I think the other piece of this, though, when we think of equity, is that these spaces are available when the library is open regular normal hours for free. So that helps, I believe, preserve some of the equity challenge that we have with this, because obviously not everyone is going to be able to afford to have a security guard for 4 hours. And we're also open at our branches on Saturdays as well. So it's available for free during our regular library hours, Saturdays. And so this was, and I think there are still some staff who are uneasy with this because it challenges our equity mission. But we are also, as I said, charged with being responsible stewards of the space. And so this is the best at this point that we've been able to come up with in order to find that compromise between stewardship and equity. But I'm open to ideas, open to suggestions.
And to be clear, we're talking about the community.
Not like this.
Yes.
Not the individual.
Correct. Yeah. The rest of the library is closed off. And then they gain access through one of these doors or this facility.
Because they've all been designed to be used off hours.
Most. And there's some exceptions. La Selva is an exception. Garfield is an exception. And right now, the downtown library is rather cumbersome in the way we lend it out, but that'll change. The new design does assignment so that it can operate.
Yes.
Have you seen like a jump in requests for after hours with the new libraries or never?
We haven't, since that's the real burning desire to get this approved is because we haven't really been allowing it. We've been allowing it in certain circumstances. And I should say the big exception to this is if they're government, if it's the Friends of the Library, or if it's a library program, of course, then we would have staff there. So oftentimes, and that's where I think originally Susan, our program director, was thinking along those lines, is if it's a program that supports the mission of the library, then we would most likely partner with it anyways and then provide some staff. But that may not always be the case.
Two questions. When you say government, does that mean agencies? I mean, I just, an example is like the local water district.
Yeah,
Would they need to, would they be charged?
I have to go back and look exactly, we did,
Okay.
this was part of our discussion, I remember, and, Jennifer, you can maybe help me out here.
City departments have used them for free as well.
That's what I was
We
wondering.
haven't kept total anyway.
It does, I mean, I think what we do is we see with it, with anything that's affiliated with the county, but,
City government.
and our jurisdictions. So I mean, basically, if it's anything that's affiliated with any of our four jurisdictions, do you recall if we got to that point where we defined it and then,
It seems like it would,
okay.
it seems like it would be good to call out what those are. Because, you know, there's fine lines between agencies and just make sure that, I mean, I would like to know where, for instance, I would like to know where the water district fell.
Yeah.
Or
Um,
does the community foundation fall into that, or the SPCA, or
Yeah,
it starts to get fuzzy?
yeah, it does a little bit. I mean, I don't know. I'm not,
County and city governments are a little easier to be finite about, but.
And the other thing I was wondering is, I seem to recall that other public library systems do charge for
It
this
depends.
type of thing. I mean, it's not, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
it's not out of the ordinary that this would be the case.
And some charge much more than we,
Yeah.
far more than, we did do a survey, I should have mentioned that, thanks for bringing it up.
Are we,
We did do a
are we
survey.
not only allowed to pass on costs? I don't know that we're allowed to profit from this.
I don't know
I
if,
know school districts can.
yeah, I don't know if there's actually something in our bylaw,
state
that-
code?
I don't believe that there is.
Oh.
Um, so in fact, some libraries do, I don't, country, I know some do actually use it as a fundraising for weddings,
That's right.
and for other kinds of activities.
Oh, that's
They do
interesting.
charge,
Okay.
space.
I can certainly see the weddings.
Susan actually had that idea.
And you specifically excluded weddings and.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that,
Yeah.
birthday parties.
Yeah.
Cause I thought, wow, that would.
And
Frosting in this carpet.
And-
Not in our community room.
yeah, and I've heard other directors say it was not a money thing. That it was,
Yeah.
they really- because of the insurance, it
Yeah,
was.
I can see that.
A couple of questions about the number of times per month. So the study rooms, you can book same day only. You can't reserve in advance. And you can go up to, you know, it's for 1 hour and you can get up to 2 hours. But is there a limit on the number of times per month you could book a meeting room, or is it just kind of first come,
Oh, for
first
the-
served? You could always, the meeting study?
The study room?
I'm sorry, the study.
Yeah,
Sorry.
right now we do have it as only, first come, first served. I think, do we,
But I don't think it's
No.
same day right now, because I know people who reserve it a month at a time, once a week.
Not the
Not
study
the study
room.
rooms.
yeah,
No, I think it's just first come. first
Yeah.
served.
Yeah,
Well, it's first come, first served, but it's every day.
every day is a new
I
day.
don't want to out the first people that I know they're doing it because they're probably doing it.
no, right now we're accepting and that's what the current policy does, accept to, it's first come, first served.
So
And
Eric,
it's only the day of.
Yes.
Is that what I'm understanding? So I can't reserve for next Tuesday.
No.
Right.
so someone
Don't
could
even-
walk in at 10 o'clock every single day and get a meeting room, every single day. Okay, and are you finding that there's competition for those study rooms?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
And
I
they,
just wonder about just fairness, if. I mean, because you did limit the other rooms, you know, the conference rooms are 12 times per year, so once a month. And the community rooms is 4 times per year.
Right.
But I just wondered, I don't know if they're oversubscribed, but when I go to Access Library, every study room is taken every single minute of every single day.
Hmm.
And I just wonder if the same people are always in the room, or, so you don't have to give me an answer, it's just something I want.
no,
Pay
I
attention to.
think you're right on, I think that there's a lot of regular users, and I think it's something that we have a change of management team too, who, when we do implement a new policy, they kind of work on it and see what's working and what's not, so. And that's also been something that's another branch manager has raised as being a challenge. And so it's something that we're gonna watch and see. I mean, there's pros and cons to everything, of course, right? So then there's like a higher level of policing, so to speak, that we have to do if we're gonna monitor that. And then, so that creates some of its own challenges.
Yeah.
And so, well, it's possible that even though this is up for revision further into the future, we may come back earlier with some requests to make some revisions if it's turning out to be.
Yeah.
So for the study room, you're not required to have a library card, is that right?
That's right.
I noticed that was an exception for
Yep.
these three. That's okay. I mean, I just noticed that and
Yeah.
just because
And
I want
that,
to open it up to,
right, and that is something that if we were to put limits on it, we would have to have that. Slightly. So that's why those two go hand in hand.
yeah.
And, you know, I mean, for many people, this is their first experience using a library. They say, oh, I can use a study room, I have a meeting here. And then they come in and then they become a library user. So it is a way to invite some new users into the building. That's one argument. And then, you know, equity too is another.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
I have a question about. There's a change here that is regarding, that talks about. Approved suggested donations and all of sales and sole discretion of the library director. A certain percentage of the donations may be required to the plan, as opposed to the 15%. That is,
Yeah.
Well, maybe that seems a little vague. What, you know, if that's already, I guess,
So-
for trail. Now, what are the new rules, we can check with the director, or close the background on changing that part.
You know, it's a very good observation and a good question. I think it was to just provide some flexibility in case it was needed. I think there were some issues that came up rather recently where there was an argument over how much of the proceeds actually are recaptured by the author, especially when the author can travel distance. But you know, I mean, I think it's a good thing to discuss. I think, you know, I think in terms of like being fair, that there's an argument to be made for being consistent.
Yeah.
But I think that the argument behind it was to provide some flexibility in case there are some circumstances that might require that.
So what do you think, as far as? How is it to be defined then, that it says the friends have all about all times? If there is no reference to that certain percentage, then is it? Doesn't seem. Yeah, I'm sure there's no light, then again, the library director doesn't want to, make those calls. This is more of a, it needs to be somewhere.
I mean, I find it not.
Cindy.
Yes, please.
Cindy,
I think the clarification needs to be done on our part in terms of our communications with the author partner to these events. And I think that will take care of it, the situation that happened that Eric you're referring to. Yeah, so that is on our list. I mean, that's being clarified, so thank you for bringing that up.
I have been to a number of author talks where they've asked us to sell their books. And they usually just give a donation. I mean, I don't remember ever.
I know in my friend's chapter, it's well, 15%.
Okay.
Here's the rule.
Okay.
I'm not even saying that.
Okay.
Well, and I think
I,
there was a situation where the person had to travel a long way and they didn't sell that many books and they needed, I mean, there's always these situations, so to have it be hard and fast is kind of not great.
Having that clarified with the person who's traveling a long distance and knowing what the expectation is when they get there is appropriate as well.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
hoping.
yeah,
That's a lot.
Sometimes only a few people show up and then even a few people buy a book and then it's like, it's hard.
yeah, it is.
It's hard to cover all
It
situations.
is, yeah, bottom line, yeah.
But I agree with you, a baseline 15%, it's a lot of number, a baseline, but then to be reconsidered on a case-by-case basis, I don't know.
Yeah, I like that because it's like, it's not gonna work every time.
Sorry.
And most people accept that, authors, I mean, but there's always a few exceptions. And leave some room for that. It's not a huge moneymaker.
it's never.
Okay, we'd like a motion of recommended action here to endorse this with some of the suggestions we've mentioned. Included in that, I would assume.
I move that we accept endorse the updated meeting policy with amendments.
And I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Anyone from the public on this?
There are no options.
Good, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Unanimous, thank you. And I'm happy to report that next month we're actually going to go to Aptos.
Yeah.
A much favorable Aptos branch line.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
So keep good thoughts for the weather and
And the traffic.
PG&E.
Yeah. Those other things.
Great. Any other comments by directors? I would like to see in the next meeting, perhaps circle back and get a report on staff safety with regard to incidences in the library. I know we touched upon it last meeting. I'd like to follow that carefully. That's the paramount importance.
We agree, if I could have one caveat, we have, one of our supervisors is in charge of safety and facilities. I don't have her vacation schedule
Okay,
yet, and so if she is scheduled,
pending that, yes.
Thanks.
That'd be great. I think that at our next meeting, we make it a visit by our, another fabled item, our new director.
and
Yes.
and it's not next month. It's
It's
just,
October.
Not next. But first is coming on board in July, right? So anybody who's the opportunity, swing by and say, hey,
Hey.
good.